Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, June 2025. Sagittarius, the great Saturn Neptune conjunction is starting in June, in July, in August is active. Then again, from January, February 2026, March. This is epochal. Once every 35 years, those two planets meet, and never again in the same sign during your life. They're going to meet in your fifth house, which starts like a new mission for you that you might unfold over the next 35 years. Saturn wants to build new foundations somehow that you can rely on for many, many years ahead, while Neptune wants to bring in new inspiration. Saturn has no inspiration. He's just like the worker that does the lays the bricks, while Neptune is the inspired visionary or the inspired artist. So, and they're both in your fifth house, which is very harmonious for Sagittarius, rising people, sun or moon, because the fifth house is the house of creation. This is the house where we co-create with God, with our God-given intelligence. This is where we download ideas. We have original thoughts that are unique to us, rather than repeating things like a pattern, where we are able to create something very unique. And Neptune brings the high ideals. Saturn manifests them into concrete reality. So watch out for signs in June, in July, or then again the next year, 2026, because some ideas or some opportunities or some circumstances will start shifting in your life, as to where, for some of you, it will allow you to become a co-creator with God in a way, maybe a mission that is given to you for 30, 35 years ahead, to create something unique and different, to manifest it in real ways. Fifth house is your creativity and the things you're passionate about, your natural talents. We all are born with a way that is most natural for us to express ourselves. Some people have a natural sense of humor, others have a natural sense of rhythm, others have a natural sense of proportion. And the fifth house is where those talents and the fifth house is actually the rewards from past lifetimes, our good actions in past lifetimes, which in this lifetimes are transformed into specific talents, according to the theory and research of karmic development. For example, someone who was a great artist, or had great sense for art and design in a past lifetime, in this lifetime can come back with more beautiful structures of the face, or so different talents from past lifetimes, things that we developed, in this lifetime, transform in natural talents or natural gifts that we have. And Saturn and Neptune conjunction activate those natural gifts or talents that, as a reward, as from our good karma from past lifetimes. And you might start discovering in the next 1 year, starting from June, gradually, that you have a certain talent that you were never aware of, a certain gift or a skill that you naturally, like if, for example, I might try to sing, and I can develop to some extent my singing ability, but it's just not natural to me. No matter how much I try, it's not part of my natural gifts. So you discover something that is part of your natural gift, that you're good at it from the beginning, and gradually develop it over the next 2-3 years, through which you can not just do it for fun, but you can fulfill some mission for the world through this natural gift that brings you joy as well, because this is a house of joy. This is the house of being in the flow. And only when we create something that we're meant to create, like, I don't know, if it's a painting, if it's a book for someone, if for someone it's when they do sport, for someone is when they do their job, but this job puts them in the flow because this is part of what their natural talents are. We get into this flow and we rise to a high vibration. So Saturn and Neptune are trying to help you tap into those and to reveal to you such talents. And not only that, but to allow you to manifest it maybe into a business or into something concrete through which you can heal your life, help others in some way. But new ideas will be coming, so listen to do new opportunities to express yourself in some way. Or for some of you might even be a role that they have to play on the stage, because the fifth house is the stage, the sun, the performer. On a stage, a role on a stage of some sort. This is also the house of politicians, because they're like actors, like performers, they're in center stage roles. Some of you might have a mission that they'll develop over the next 35 years, through new ideals and concrete actions to be a leader, a politician. The fifth house is to be an artist, to be a performer, to be someone who grabs the souls and excitement of people, or entertainer. Some of you might find a new mission as a, I don't know, as a sportsman as well. Fifth house is the house of sports. So some new mission will be unfolded to you that is aligned to your talents, that you're naturally more creative and more original rather than 9 to 5 boring, this kind of boring, bureaucratic, administrative. This thing makes your soul flow more. On another level, the fifth house that the Saturn-Neptune epochal conjunction activates for you is also connected to children. Anything that's your creation, a business can be also your child, or something that you nurture from infancy and you grow up, can be like a hobby like gardening. I don't know. That's why we call it this our hobbies, or where our passions are. Something new is being born there for you, or you might be forced to go into something new. Sometimes Saturn doesn't always act so nicely. It can push us into something new, but Neptune is divine grace, divine love. So there is this smoothness about it as well. For some of you might be a child that appears, or some important phase in the life of your child that is starting, that the initial steps you need to be there to help more, but some kind of unlocking of the mission of your child, or the next stage of the life of your child, or a next stage for you in regards to having children. Fifth house is also romance. There might be something new that is appearing for Sagittarius people, Sagittarius rising, especially moon, and the sun to some extent, but romantically that is on a totally new vibration, totally new level, totally new. And that's going to be important, but it's not going to be short term, because Saturn is not about short term things. And overall, fifth house is inspiration. So you might experience some new inspiration and direction. But, when it comes to romantic life, there might be some endings as well, because Saturn and Neptune together means first you let go of something. Neptune, Saturn, you say no and give up something that doesn't resonate to you, to your expression of love, because the fifth house rules love, the heart expression. And so you might have some sacrifices, so the universe from externally might teach you some harder lessons by blocking first and removing and releasing some hard attachments that you have, emotionally, psychologically, so they can make space for this new age of heart expression for you in some way. And at the same time, the other big event that is happening, Sagittarius, this month is that your ruler, Jupiter, which was till now in Gemini opposing you, but Gemini is a very weak sign. It's one of the weakest signs for Jupiter. So you are feeling not so well, because you're Jupiter. You're feeling not so well in Gemini there. But now Jupiter is entering into its favorite sign. So it's as if a fish going from the air into the water, let's say, and it will feel more alive, revitalized. The same thing for you. Here is a little Sagittarius rising poking her hand. Come and show people what you did, you little Sagittarius rising. Here, she broke her arm. Because she's Pisces and Saturn transited her Sun and squared her Mars and Sagittarius on the ascendant, and it's okay. God saved her. It's not, she's healing well. She just came right for her rising sign. And everything will be okay. And we said, bye-bye. And we said that Jupiter, the ruler, that the planet that rules you, is going into, from the 9th of June, up for a whole year, into its favorite sign of exaltation, which is Cancer. So I think that your condition overall should improve. You should feel more naturally able to express yourself, let's say. But mostly the Jupiter will illuminate for the next 1 year. Maybe you'll start feeling it more from August, because Jupiter is invisible when it enters your 8th house. And only in August it starts becoming visible. But internally you might first feel it. Invisible planet is felt internally. And after that, the external things after August onwards start manifesting. The internal energy of Jupiter in the eighth house is like eighth house is healing of our wounding. Eighth house is our traumas. Eighth house is our complexes, psychological complexes that we've inherited from ancestors or from past lifetimes, and collective and personal traumas we've experienced in this lifetime, in past lifetimes. So it's very deep house that it's buried and oftentimes secret, and we're not aware of those things. And Jupiter, what does it do? It illuminates. So you start becoming aware maybe of what your deepest motivations are, why you are acting certain ways. You become more aligned to your soul needs. You become more aligned to the occult energies, like we call them in modern ways, psychological motivations, psychological reasons for your behaviors, especially people who are more inclined for introspection and spiritual observation of things will reach very deep conclusions and realizations, which will help release them from pain, from trauma, from healing. And you know that they say that the eighth house, the house of sudden accidents, and tragedies, but also the house of spontaneous healings. It's the poison, but the poison also has the remedy in it. So Jupiter there can, let's say, its highest vibration, because it's going to be exalted. I hope for that. It's going to be, instead of tragedy, because sometimes Jupiter can activate that, but there is, even if there is some kind of tragedy, because Jupiter expands whatever it touches, it somehow benefits you, like you receive a inheritance, or you have a divorce, but the divorce frees you and realigns you to your path. There is a very good silver lining wherever Jupiter passes, even through the hard houses, like the eighth house, which has some of the connotation of sudden reversal. It's just like things spin suddenly. Yes, Jupiter there can really bring fast, sudden reversals, but they'll be liberating in nature, and you'll be wanting them because Jupiter rules you, and you go into the eighth house. So somehow they'll be working on your side, those sudden reversal, shock, surprises that the eighth house sometimes is connected to. But on the positive side, they can be, as I said, this sudden healing, spontaneous remissions, even on a physical level, because Jupiter, eighth house, is where the chakras are, all the openings of the body. And the chakras are the energetic openings of the body that connect us to the world, to the external energies. When Jupiter enters there, Jupiter expands the movement of those chakras, helps them spin more correctly, more healthily. So that start either even unlocking memories that were forgotten from the past. Start eighth house, the house of detox. So when starts detoxing harmful emotion, complexes, feelings, you start realizing them consciously, even what they are. And when you dislodge, and if for years these feelings have been festering there, even you without being aware of them, suddenly they start moving around. Initially, it might not be comfortable, it might be quite intense psychologically, emotionally, but this is the detox phase. And once you are freed from those things, it's like a spiritual awakening, basically. The eighth house is the house of initiation. Initiation is never easy process. The high initiates were scared to death artificially, put with crocodiles, or were put in a tomb for 3 days, sealed in a tomb or whatever. They were put in extreme circumstances in some way, so they can awaken those spiritual forces. But nowadays, we don't do this. Nowadays, everyone has the life makes the spiritual initiation for us through some big, fast-paced life changes, sudden reversals. In one life, now we live 10 lives. Back then, 2,000 years ago, when they needed those initiatory schools, one lived 40 years, they were born in one family, did the same job, married one person. Nowadays, we can marry 10 people, do 100 jobs, live in 10 countries. So we have 10 lives in one. So life is the one that initiates us. And so Jupiter now wants to initiate you. It will speed up the chakras. The chakras will speed up the detox and dislodge painful emotions, which means they'll come to the surface, realizations, but they'll be released. They'll be freed. It's a very good time for physical detoxes as well, of any sorts. So go for it. It will be very healing for you. They'll be released and you'll be freed and liberated. And after initiation, one feels like a lighter vibration, higher, different being. You have 12 months for that. that will be very powerful for you. Some big change in life that is liberating, that puts you to the next vibratory level, that already maybe can kickstart from the end of June 26 onward, because Jupiter, the moon, and the sun align here in this eighth house. Some event can happen, actual event towards the end of the month, and Jupiter is square Saturn the whole month, or some kind of event that internal, it might be external event or internal, that kickstarts this initiation process, and opening for some people, even they'll become more psychic. Some Sagittarius, they might be having intuitive, because the chakras are activated. It's a very psychic house, the eighth house, occult house. They can become more interested in astrology, in topics, taboo topics, forbidden topics, in psychology, in analysis. Even if they're not seeing a psychologist, they might just read more books to get to the bottom of things. And maybe eighth house is the house of therapy. In Cancer, Jupiter, their family constellations, family therapy or family history can reveal a lot of things and help you release them and free you. Also, eighth house is the house of obsessions, so our inner demons that control us and outer demons that control us in the face of people, systems that are abusive of their power towards us or manipulating us in some way. Jupiter will help us reveal to us who those people are. Maybe some secrets will be revealed, maybe inner realizations that those people or circumstances are toxic for us or abusing us, their power, or slightly manipulating us, and will help you release us and free you from that. It's not an easy process, because it can entail some kind of disappointment, of course. Or inner demons that are obsession, anything that you're obsessive over, that has more control over you than you over it. Jupiter eliminates it and helps you release it easier. But it can start with a kind of crisis from June, because Jupiter is square Saturn. Sorry, just a second. Now, another thing that Jupiter in the eighth house, on the internal level, it's this, and when you release and understand painful feelings, also long-standing health issues can suddenly appear and disappear. First, the healing crisis, they intensify, and then they're suddenly gone. Say maybe you've had some kind of skin issue for years, and you don't know why, and you realize that because someone in your environment, or you let people get under your skin and irritate you, and you have this deep realization that Jupiter helps you either through therapy, through self-realization that happens when Jupiter is in the eighth house, and overnight your skin condition disappears because you've realized the stem of it. And people who are psychologists, astrologists, people who are occultists that work with kind of the hidden forces, even microbiologists, the invisible, forces as well, they can have great success when Jupiter is in the eighth house transiting. You can develop interest in such topics a lot more, or in crime topics. Eighth house is crime, documentaries, whodunit, the psychology of serial killers, conspiracies is the eighth house when Jupiter transits there. What others call conspiracies, but they're actually the hidden forces that run the world. You become very aware of those things, and the universe opens like the door for you when Jupiter is there to recognize, and you become like an X-ray. And others might think, why are you so suspicious? Or how are you connecting those things? You're seeing things, you're reading between the lines, seeing things where they're none. I want to tell you, Sagittarius, trust yourself the next whole year, because you'll be able to see things and connect the dots like very truthfully, because Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, so it's not a weak influence that meddles in astrally with untrue information. You'd feel it in your body, you'd know it. If someone is lying to you, if someone is doing something underhanded or fishy, you'd start feeling it and knowing it. Trust that inner instinct. Or if someone, whatever is happening politically in the world, you'll start connecting the dots and thinking, the hidden forces underneath, what are they ruling? Now let's speak more what's happening on material level, externally, when Jupiter is in the eighth house. Well, this is the house of deep, intimate bonding. Well, Jupiter through the seventh house, some of you might have met someone, relationships, new people entering your life, but Jupiter wasn't that strong in Gemini. But Jupiter in Cancer is very strong in the eighth house, like one of my astrology teacher, as Victor says, is considered the house of soulmates, intense, deep, sexually entwined relationships. The seventh is more partnerships, equal, it's more rational. When Jupiter is in the eighth house, there can be when deep falling in love can happen. That is very entwined. That is soulmate-like feeling. I met my husband when Jupiter transited my eighth house. I married when Jupiter was in my seventh. Then Jupiter went into my eighth house and I met my soulmate. So it was truly Jupiter, for some of you, if you're single, if you're not, but you're not in a happy relationship, there it can introduce you or bring a soulmate-like connection, because the eighth house is also the house of intimacy, and Jupiter allows you, because Jupiter is an allowing planet, expanding, to open yourself for deep intimacy without fears, without fear of being hurt, and when you let someone in that deeply, Jupiter guarantees it's not going to be negative dark force, but it's because Jupiter is the highest good, so deeper intimacy, if you're married, your intimate life can improve sexually, for example, or with sharing, like merging your resources or your finances and in some way, or eighth house is healing through deep intimacy, or it can also activate for some of you increase of finances, because that's one of the financial houses. The second is your finances. The eighth is your finances that are somehow involved with other people's or other people's resources, so you can receive gifts from others. Your partner's salary can increase, or you can maybe you put some investment very intuitively that grows very big together, or maybe you invest in something that gives big returns. Jupiter in the eighth house, and in Cancer, it's very strong. I think that Jacqueline Kennedy was born Sagittarius rising with Jupiter in Cancer and Venus in Cancer in the eighth house. I'm not quite sure, but I knew she had Jupiter in Cancer in the eighth. And she always married very rich guys and got a lot of their money, like Onassis and so on. But I'm not saying you all become like someone will give you money, but if it's in your karma, there will be definitely some kind of an increase coming to you from others. Open yourself to receive from the outside sources, to trust the universe, to give you, to provide for you, to take care. It doesn't mean don't do anything yourself, but it's like you'd realign to sniff out where the benefits are that can come to you from others. For example, you can get a good alimony from spouse, or if you're divorcing, for example, you might get like a much better, part of the deal financially from the mutual resources. Or maybe you together as a couple or as a business partnership can suddenly start making a lot of money, or you can attract a business partner that brings their resources, skills, and talents. It's not just the money of another, but resources, skills, talents that expands your own financial situation. When Jupiter transited my eighth house, all those three things happen at once. Deep intimacy, healing of wounds overnight. Overnights, when I met my partner, like I felt I was healed from so much wounding, released so much pain and resentment, like vibratory, went through a divorce, went through all this, got pregnant, eighth house, the house of pregnancy, conception. Everything of the eighth house happened when Jupiter transited for me 12 years ago. And then eighth house is my old life died, because it's about death and rebirth. I felt like it happened very fast, quickly. It was intense, but it was rebirth. What can I say? It was rebirth into new, higher initiatory stage, this butterfly cocoon coming out of the cocoon. And our mutual income, and we immediately merged our money. Because I've been married before, everyone kept their money separate, whatever. But the intimacy was so deep that we immediately merged everything we owned together. No separation. This is the merging of the eighth house that will allow you either to merge with the finances, resources, talents of another, to trust enough, rather than to try to do everything alone, to merge your energies with another. And there was this incredible tripling of our income that happened over the 1 year Jupiter was in the 8th house. You might not feel this from June already, no, because Saturn is squaring Jupiter first. Or you might receive inheritance, money from insurance, from taxes of some sort. There can be more money coming in, but more coming out. Or it might be good even to invest in something where other people have pulled their resources. It might be stocks, it might be in something hedge, because there's benefits coming to you from others. So ask for help and resources and opinions and talents from others. Ask and you receive. The universe is giving it from this 8th house. Yes, it has some heavy energies as well. I told you about the traumas, the sudden transformations, death, rebirth, but it has a lot of good, nice things that can come from the 8th house as well. And Jupiter through the 8th house is squaring the whole of June Saturn in your 5th house. So when Jupiter and Saturn are squaring each other, there might be the need to let go of something or sacrifice something in order for something else to grow. You might have to sacrifice some of the good times, 5th house, this month and in June and July, maybe sacrifice some aspect of your romantic relationships or fun life, personal entertainment and hobbies in order for something here in the 8th house to grow. I don't know, something in your intimate life or something in regards to mutual finances or something in regards to financial matters or a deep psychological growth in some sort or healing. Or there might be some clash between your children and your finance. Maybe you might have to spend some money on your children in June or on some compromise you have to make or some whether to do like fun holiday or put money in investment in something, such kind of a dilemma might come up, or whether to spend on something you enjoy, 5th house, or invest, because 8th house kind of investing, like we said. Or there might be another dilemma of some secret coming up and your romantic life that you have to decide. And to make a sacrifice in some aspect or some more difficult decision in June. Or there might be here, what else could it be that I'm trying to see the combination of 8th and 5th house. Some expenses, or you might be trying to procure some creative project of yours or some original idea of yours to procure sponsorship, because 8th house is money coming from others or support from others, from the public in some way to procure. So there's this tension of trying to resolve this in June, July. Or there might be something about children and money, children and mutual finances, or romantic partners, or your own creative business ideas, for example, or having fun, how you have fun, and obsessions to have to solve some problems. Maybe you have to sacrifice having fun a little bit so you can take and heal some obsession or addiction, 8th house, that controls you. So there's multiple ways it can play out. I try to cover absolutely all the possible ways the 8th and the 5th house symbolize, so you can make the connections yourself. Otherwise, I can sit here and just guess for hours and hours. So yeah, there is this tension that is felt in June. Something needs to be sacrificed, or something you might need to trim certain expenses in some areas that are mutual finances, or even cut some losses and liabilities of what you're spending in order, for example, to allow some creative project or something else to grow initially, because Saturn squaring Jupiter feels the square more. So you might have to kind of do first some sacrifice in this 8th house, which is mutual finances, insurance, taxes, inheritance, intimacy. What's mine, what's yours? What is mine versus what is yours? How much you give versus how much I give or get. And you have to make some kind of a more difficult decision around June, around that time. I would advise you to be careful with finances. And 5th house is speculative investments and stuff like that, as well, to be careful with those things. So you don't make some mistakes because of the tense aspect. But after that, from August onwards, and September, October, November, December, Jupiter will make only trines with Saturn. It will hold it for 2 months towards the end of the year. So there'll be something really good that happens to you in this 8th house. Resources from others, intimacy that we talked, all any of those things that can happen. But first in June and partly July, it's part to do the hard decisions, maybe some cleanup here of intimate connections and romantic relationships that might not be healthy. Cleanup of that, some realizations of secrets, some realizations of what truly opens up your heart, some new, as I said, some sacrifice might have to be done or some more difficult decision. But there's really good things that will come to you from this Jupiter in the 8th house. And by the way, from July, Uranus is entering into directly opposite into you in a sign it really loves and it's very compatible with it. And Uranus will change the life of Sagittarius over the next 8 years. In a sense, not all the 8 years, early Sagittarius maybe this year and next year, later Sagittarius the next 2 years. But I covered this in my 5-hour webinar on Uranus in Gemini, which covers absolutely all possible transits Uranus can do from your 7th house. Say you have Venus in Sagittarius, Uranus opposing your Venus. What does it mean with real life stories? So maybe you have Saturn in Virgo, Uranus will square it in your 10th house. What does it mean? And again, real life stories of how it manifested to people. It's only $20 for 5 hours, the cheapest webinar out there available. I wanted to reach thousands of people. That's why I always price all my courses, which usually would be $200. I price it at $20, and then it becomes $30 from July. So if you want to check this out and be prepared, know what it is and get excited for it, because your life is about to get buzzing and a lot of freedom is about to come to you, Sagittarius. A lot of freedom and a bit of nomadic and excitable, changeable period. Sagittarius love that. See how you fare with it. So thank you so much. And may you be blessed. May you do the best possible manifestation and creations through Saturn, Neptune conjunction that are happening over the next 2 years. And whatever happens, know that it's for the highest good always.